I'm holding my head down in sadness.
Oh, shoot. Yeah, I think we're all pretty sad after the news we got.
They canceled the king. They canceled the king.
For those who don't know, we just learned this week that Dr. Eve Ewing's run on Black Panther Volume 9, which was started back in, October of last year, is only going to get a 10-issue run. So that means that we're on issue 8 now, I think.
Yeah.
So March will be the last issue of the current run of Black Panther. And what's crazy about that is the volume before this one by that writer,
which was trash.
It was trash, but it went 15 issues. The current volume rather, is infinitely better. Is it the best Black Panther run? No, it's not. But it is.
Hey, what's up, Chillman?
You know, it's a shame that she was not allowed to carry the title on for a long time. And what's crazy is Chillmonger called this, shout out to Chill, he called this on his channel like 2 or 3 months ago when I was on there. He saw the handwriting on the wall. I don't know what it was that he saw. I just don't remember. But he actually called it. And somebody just asked, was this a 10-issue run? I don't know if it was supposed to be an ongoing or a 10-issue run. But at the end of the day, we're going to be devoid of Black Panther content.
Chillmonger also points out that he's still not king.
Correct.
And you got to thank the bigger question is, you have 2 issues to make him king again. I don't think that's going to happen. Mm-mm. What's up, Pericles?
And see, that goes back to my criticism of Coates. Coates is the one who laid the groundwork for all of this nonsense that we have. You know, bringing his Western ideals of democracy or whatever the case may be into this work. You know, and I just didn't like that.
Fiction Ink Flow says, I think the powers that be don't know what to do with Black Panther. Well, I don't think it's... You're partially right. I think the powers that be have put themselves into a box because of a stupid-ass decision to not recast T'Challa in the MCU. And because the MCU is now Marvel Comics. For those of you who don't know, Marvel Studios now runs Marvel Comics. So Marvel Comics, which used to be the source material for the MCU, is now in the position of being the promotional material for the MCU. So whatever happens in the MCU, you can pretty much guarantee at some point you're going to see some version of that in the comics. They killed off T'Challa in the MCU. They're kind of a death for 1,000 cuts in the comics.
But somebody brought up a pretty good question though. It's like, do we even know if it was slated for a 10 issue run or was it gonna be an ongoing? Like, I don't have the answer to that. So
Pericles says the one who can truly fix Black Panther, they refused to give a call back. Which one are you referring to? Which writer?
now here's the thing. When I heard yesterday that they were canceling the run, I put a poll out asking folks who do they think would be good for the next volume of Black Panther. Can you pull that up? And I
Let me
had
see.
Hickman, I had Hill, and I had Thorne.
I'm looking
And then
at your
I
thing
left
here.
no,
I don't see the poll.
it's that wasn't it. I thought I sent it to you in the DMs.
Apparently, to show more, show this
Yeah,
poll.
it's
Okay. I
yeah,
see it. I see it. All right, give me a sec.
yeah. But I mean, there are a lot of good writers out there. One of the things that somebody on Twitter has said is that the very next right, correct, that was one of my options.
Jeffrey
One of
Thorne,
the
yeah.
things that somebody said was the next writer of Black Panther does not have to be a black writer, and I agree with that. One of the best writers on for Black Panther, as Paul constantly points out, was that Avengers run where he called it, uh, Black Panther and his right, and
Black Panther and his little friends.
it was essentially a Black Panther book, and that was by Jonathan Hickman, who's a white dude. So those are some of the options that I laid out there. If you want to take the poll or whatever the case may be, but
Can I point out one thing? This is so distressful to Mark and I. We skipped talking about our whiskey,
yeah. Well, I
and we
mean,
love our whiskey.
but here's the thing, though. We said that we were going to do one whiskey a month. We're still sipping. Well, I'm still sipping on the same thing that I have for the past month, which is the Greenwood whiskey. So it's not going to be anything new except once a month. You know,
I understand that, but we at least talk about the whiskeys we're drinking.
yeah. Well, this
Yeah.
for me, it's still the Greenwood rye, and I have my whiskey cubes in there. I don't know if you can tell.
So everyone in the chat, you've got your four choices for the next writer of Black Panther: Jonathan Hickman, most famous for his new Avengers run known as Black Panther and His Little Friends; Jeffrey Thorne, who not only wrote the best one shot of all time in of Black Panther and King in Black Panther, but was also the writer of the Panther's Quest television's cartoon series for Black Panther, which was excellently written and had a
So,
lot of world building in it.
so basically, what Paul is talking about, there was an Avengers
Hold
cartoon,
on, last choice. Brian Edward Hill, who was slated to write the ultimate Black Panther and is a current writer of Blade. Go ahead.
right? Going back to what Paul was saying about Jeffrey Thorne and the Panthers run cartoon, it wasn't an independent Black Panther cartoon, but that season was basically nothing but Black Panther in Wakanda. And it was the event, what was it? Not Earth's Mightiest Heroes. Which one? Which Avengers cartoon was it? I can't remember.
Avengers Assemble.
Avengers Assemble. So that final season was basically just Black Panther, and it was pretty good.
We gotta vote for Jeffrey Thorne.
Yep.
I'm starting to feel like that kid is always late to class.
One of the things that somebody
It's all
said,
right, man. Frustrated, man. You're always here on time.
one of the things that somebody said that I did not was not aware of is that Jeffrey Thorne wrote or said during a podcast that T'Challa was not necessary to tell Wakanda's story. Something along those
That's what
lines.
type of foolishness is that?
Right, that's what I said. So I'll pull it up here and I'll send it to you
I
so you
don't.
can
You
see.
don't need to do that. I'm good.
But that was kind of surprising, especially considering the fact with his history with the IP, with the fact that he said on Twitter to me that he had a whole plan laid out for this run, but Marvel didn't give him a shot on it. Now,
Now, what
based
do we
on that
think
quote,
about this statement by Style So Serious?
hold on a second, but based on that statement, though, I wonder, was he planning on killing T'Challa off? I mean, I don't know. I hope he wasn't, but I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that, Styles, because the IP was in the hands of that writer, and that writer is black-ish, and you see what he did with it. So no, I don't think it necessarily needs to be in the hands of a black person. It just needs to be by somebody who respects the character.
And when Mark says that writer, he's referring to he who shall not be named on this show ever again, the last writer of the last volume of Black Panther. Frustrated says, I think they should give John Jennings a shot at Black Panther or have Priest do return the series.
Not
John Jennings, I think his choice book would either be Daredevil or Doctor Voodoo.
what has
I
he
think
written that
he
people would know?
definitely has a Doctor Voodoo story that he has in mind.
What
And
has
Christopher Priest says he has no desire to come back to his run.
I don't want him back either. His writing style has changed. But what has John Jennings done that people would know?
For mainstream people, they would know him from the Silver Surfer Ghostlight, the run that just ended recently,
Oh yeah.
creator of Ghostlight. But he's also famous for writing Parable of a Sour. He is the head of Megascope, the comics imprint from Abrams Arts, which has produced books like After the Rain, The Count of Monte Cristo, just Blue Mojo, just a bunch of dope books. If you're an indie comic guy, you should definitely know John Jennings and check out his works. All right. So we haven't had too many votes here. We got one vote for Thorne, a vote for Priest, a vote for Hickman, and a vote for John Jennings. Anyone else?
Yeah.
Who would y'all like to see? This is a test to see if you're true Black Panther fans. Who would you like to see as the next writer of Black Panther?
And if you're, obviously there are only three choices. The poll only gives you four, and I left other there. So if one of your choices is not up there, just go ahead and put it in the comments on Twitter if you have Twitter, so we can see who it is that you think.
Now,
Um,
there's something that we do have that we should talk about. Let me bring that up here. What we do have upcoming, and this is what everyone's talking about in reaction to this news, we have an upcoming run by Brian Edward Hill, Ultimate Black Panther. There are 3 issues that are slated. That takes us to April. The first issue drops February 7th. The next issue, March 10th, March 13th, and the issue after that is April 17th. This is kind of our bridge the gap or solve, you might say, to assuage our fears and concerns and bring down our, we don't have to go cold turkey without Black Panther. I have every confidence that Brian Edward Hill is going to knock this book out the park, based on what I've seen him write on Blade, and this isn't his first time writing this character. He wrote Black Panther Unconquered, which is a dope book, a one-shot book. But the thing with me with this, I don't get as hype as people are like, oh, they canceled Black Panther's book. We have Ultimate Black Panther, so we don't have to worry about it. Understand, the Ultimate Universe is just that. It's its own universe.
yeah.
We have no current self-titled book where Black Panther T'Challa is committing his acts as feats in the 616 universe, other than Avengers. If you want to know what Black Panther T'Challa in the 616 universe is doing, you kind of stuck looking at what he does in Avengers, where he's relegated to just being a guy, a dude.
How far out do they do these solicits? Is it 3 months at a time, or what is
It's
it?
usually about 3 months in advance.
Okay.
So most
So
of the
just because there's
solicits you
three
have,
months there, that's not indicative of it's just going to be a 3 month run or anything of that nature.
well, let's take a look.
Because I'm interested specifically about Ultimate Spider-Man. Ultimate Spider-Man was phenomenal. Is one issue, so I'm just curious how many solicits do they have out?
Well, it doesn't say anything about this being the final issue. I'm looking at the third issue, which comes out in April. We can talk about some of these covers. Look at the covers for the third issue. It's got the Ultimate Storm and Ultimate Killmonger. There's a lot of people surmising that Killmonger and Storm are a couple.
Don't want that.
This is the Peach Momoko cover. Look at this cover. The
That's kind of
Scan Suizwan variant. This is the 1 in 25 variant.
now. Are you going to buy all these different variants, or
I
if
I
they're
I
available?
I probably will because Black Panther is the only character which
That's dope.
I have a goal of collecting all the variants of. That's the
During
only comic book I collect all the variants of.
during the Priest run, I didn't mean that. During the Coach run, that last issue that he had, I think that last one had like 25 different variants. Did you get all of them?
I got, I believe I did.
Yeah, I think I
I don't
did
think it
too.
was 25, but it was a lot of variants. It wasn't
It was
25.
it was over 20.
I don't think it was that many.
I think it was. Hold on.
This is the Boss Logic variant, and this is the Joshua Cassara variant.
That's cool. We're seeing Storm a lot on here, and for me, Storm goes with T'Challa like peanut butter goes with jelly. There are people though on the Twitters
That's because you're old enough. That's because you're old enough to have remembered what that was like. I'm sorry, I didn't
but
mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
yeah, no problem. But there are people on the Twitters who don't like their union. There was a guy who actually said that Storm now being with that astronaut dude, his
Craig
exact
the corny
tweet
dude.
was he's a Storm is now with a quote unquote real man. Now I understand that all this is fiction, and I understand that everybody has their right to their opinions, but that legit pissed me off. I'm not even gonna lie about it. I'm like, what do you mean a real man? T'Challa is a real man, partner. Like, come on now.
He doesn't
That's
lie. He doesn't cheat. He doesn't steal.
right, right, right.
He doesn't sleep around on his woman.
That is correct.
This Boss Logic cover is sick.
What issue is this? Is this number one, number
That's the
two?
first issue of Ultimate Black Panther. It's a
So how many
variant
variants do we have? Variant covers.
7 of the first issue.
Okay. So I may have to do that. All right. So let's see here. We got
Let me talk about how the Twitters have blown up about this
oh,
subject. So a lot of this, actually, you kind of got this started, Mark,
me?
because you tagged Reggie Hudlin
Oh
in the
yeah, that
post.
part.
So
So
let's show that.
somebody put out a tweet talking basically about Storm and T'Challa being together. Well, in modern times, Reginald Hudlin, the writer, director, creative extraordinaire, is the one who basically got them together, even though Claremont in Marvel 2 and 100 was the first person to actually make them a couple, even though we didn't explore that. So during the Hudlin run of the early 2000s, he's the one who made them a couple. And so when Philly Diabolical Eagle put that up, I wanted Reginald Hudlin to see that people liked this pairing. I
Hey,
am a
Derek, if you have a
huge,
chance, go ahead and set up that poll.
yeah,
Go ahead.
I'm a
Sorry.
huge fan of this pairing personally. Put up there what Reginald Hudlin said about it.
Yeah, I get to that. Hold on one second. I mean, just rolling through I missed some of these chat comments.
Yeah, Going around, let's not kill.
To run the Falcon. Derek says he can only do four options. What should the four
Right.
options be?
Thorn, Hickman. Um,
Hill.
somebody said Evan Narcisse. Somebody suggested Evan Narcisse.
Ooh, Evan Narcisse would be a good choice. I think
Yeah,
we should, yeah, just make it those three. Well,
and then you want to make the fourth option other.
yeah,
Hickman, Thorn, Narcisse, and then other.
yeah, because Hill has a book coming out.
Yeah.
What's up, NBA Live girl?
What's going on? Yeah, that was the one that I did. Okay, so he's got it. 14.
C
Yeah.
Bizzle. Shout out to Bryant Wilson and check out his channel, Couching and Slouching with C Bizzle on YouTube. He says Black Panther 25 had about 14 to 15 variants.
It seemed like it was 20, but I think I got most of them.
Where's the poll? I guess he must have put the poll. Do you see the poll?
Mm-mm. But then again, I'm not looking.
Then again, I don't know how to pull up the poll. Derek's doing stuff I don't know how to do. Derek, if you're watching, I don't know how to pull up the poll. My other is David Walker. Has David Walker ever written Black Panther before?
Not to my knowledge. Are we getting some more Bitterroot, or is that's done?
I don't know.
Oh, you can only see it on YouTube.
Derek, you're going to have to show it to me if you can only see it on YouTube or tell me the results or something. Anyway.
Well, obviously, if you're in the YouTube chat, you should probably be able to pull it up, I would imagine.
Wow. Spoiler alert. Frustrated. But you had to assume that was going to happen because it was a story that took place in the past, and you know Battalion's not in the current right. DC universe, so it is kind of
Waller versus Wildstorm is very good. I really enjoy that.
Derek said he'll help us out with it. All right, cool. Perfect. All right, so let's go back to this tweet. So yeah, you tagged Reggie Hudlin.
Yep.
And then Reggie Hudlin responds. What does he say?
Black Panther and Storm should be the most powerful couple in the MU. That means the Marvel Universe. That means the Marvel 616 universe. That's what I designed them to be, and that's why they are not.
That's a powerful statement.
So the guy who actually wrote to me the best volume of Black Panther, all due respect to every other writer with the exception of one, to their work that they added to the mythos, Reginald Hudlin, is basically saying, look, I paired them together for a reason. And one of the things that we consistently say on this channel is that there is a lack of Black love in comic books in general.
Black super love, to be specific.
Specifically, Black super love in the big three. When I say the big three, Marvel, DC, Image. Yes, Image is one of the big three. And for that to be missing and for him to do that, look, the event of T'Challa and Storm getting together was a cross-issue storyline to me on the level of Secret Wars, Under Siege, or Inferno, or things of that nature, because their union touched not only the Black Panther book, but other titles as well. And this was during the whole Civil War storyline. All those people were fighting over here in America whether or not they should register as superhumans or not. They put all their animosity aside, came to Wakanda, which was neutral ground like Switzerland, to watch Storm and T'Challa get married.
Let's show that here, because in the response, this is what we posted, or say we, I said me.
You, yeah.
For those too young to remember, at the time, the union of Aurora and T'Challa changed the power paradigm at Marvel Comics. If they had kids, they would have quickly become Marvel's most powerful and significant family. T'Challa forever. Now, this is a panel from Black Panther issue 19. This is right after they got married and they were on their honeymoon on an island provided by Namor. And so T'Challa and Aurora are walking on the beach of this island, and T'Challa says his impression of what happened at the wedding. He says, behind the smiles and the gifts lurks fear. People look at us as a couple and they quiver. Too much power, too much wealth, too well connected. They think we might take over the world. Aurora says, so you want to do a goodwill tour to assuage their fears? He goes, exactly. And and what if we can't assuage their fears? That would be unfortunate. Why? Because then we'd have to take over the world.
Now, T'Challa was not really going to take over the world. Let's just be clear about that.
Well, not so fast, my friend.
T'Challa was not going to take over the world. Okay,
Not so
but
fast. Because, hold on, let me finish. Because you understand, Reggie Hudlin wrote this.
yeah,
We already know what he said before in the tweet. I wrote them to be the most powerful couple in the world. He then is cognizant of that at the time that he wrote the book. Because in the subsequent issue after the marriage, he writes this scene right here saying, I recognize the feathers I'm going to ruffle by putting these two characters together. I recognize the amount of fear in fanboys' faces when they see these two become the most powerful couple in Marvel Comics. He was cognizant of it at the time. So much
right.
so that if you look at the books he wrote later, specifically these, this is the wedding, but he wrote two follow-ups to this premise. One was this one, the Black Panther annual #1. There's only been two annuals ever done by Black Panther in all of Black Panther's almost
This is
60
the
year
one that was
history.
in the future, right?
And Hudlin wrote both of them. This
This
one
is
is
the one
called
that's in the
Black to the
future.
Future Part 1. This is, if you're a Black Panther fan, this is a must have for your collection. This is Black to the Future Part 1. In this run, in this issue, he projects out into the future
Yeah.
what T'Challa and Storm and Aurora accomplished as a couple, in which they were literally. There's a scene where T'Challa is basically talking to his children, his grandchildren, and they're talking about the things that they had to do to ultimately take over the world. And one of those things is make an alliance with Atlantis, so much so that their kids are getting married to Atlanteans. But then he followed that up in the Coates run with Black Panther Annual #2. Sorry, it was another Black Panther Annual, but it was the second part to Black to the Future Part 2. And in this one, you see T'Challa talking to his grandchild, and she's like, "Granddaddy, how is it that you came to basically rule the world?" And he's like, well, I didn't, it wasn't like something I sought out to do, but, dudes were acting up and I had to step up to save the world. And then he's walking through this trophy room and you see like Magneto's helmet. You see Dr. Doom's helmet. You see, an Ultron head, all these, it's like Batman's trophy room of people that he's had to kill or destroy so that ultimately there'd be stability, but he also took over the world. So it actually did happen in Hudlin's world.
But from a practical standpoint, and I understand what you're saying. I understand all of that, and I understand what Hudlin did and was trying to do. But with that particular character, if he were to do that, that makes him no different than Victor Von Doom. And to me, at least, T'Challa, is way more honorable than Doom is. And I don't see him, T'Challa, doing that unless his hand was forced.
That
Um,
was the impression he gave in the book, though, that his hand was forced. Like he didn't say, "I went out to go conquer the world." It was more like evil forces stepped up, and I had to do something about it.
yeah,
And this is from last year's Marvel Voices. The only other time that you saw a projection in the future, well, almost.
that's not true. Yeah,
That's not true. I take that back as I
that's
say
not true
that.
at
But
all.
one of the few rare times where you see a projection of the future of T'Challa and Storm being a happy couple. And this is T'Challa with his grandkids, and you see the adventures they have. Here's a scene from the wedding.
So there was, while Paul is talking about the future, there are a lot
This is
of
what we could have had.
alt world stories that involve T'Challa and Storm. And by that I mean projected out into the future. As an example, there's an animation called Avengers Next, where you have the children of some superheroes, right? And there, T'Challa and Storm had a son in that version on the
See,
series,
Cole.
right?
Facts.
Um, right. So you have that. Then you have Tom Taylor's. What was that storyline that he did that was in the future that came out like
Yeah,
last?
that's the one. That's why I said I took it back. Where they had the little daughter.
Correct. What was that one called?
Oh, geez.
I can't remember the can't remember it right now, but there was a limited series where Tom Taylor's another very good writer
Yeah,
who created this storyline where in the future of the Marvel 616, power went out, Doctor Strange did something, blah blah blah, and there was a big void in
Universe
on
X.
planet Earth. And T'Challa and Storm were married, and then they had a daughter. When you look at the Marvel Zombies as an example, I want to say that T'Challa and Storm were married. When you look at House of M, which was phenomenal, there
Right.
was a future storyline timeline where T'Challa and Storm were married. So
Yeah,
for the
basically they're
past
only allowed to be together in alternate universes.
for the past 15, 20 years, it is well understood that these two, no matter what, are going to end up together. They're going to be husband and wife, and they're going to have progeny. As much as I criticize the coach run, which I did not enjoy, I do appreciate the fact that this man got Storm and T'Challa in a place where you could see them getting back together in an organic manner. Then all of that was undone in one or two issues from that writer, and to it pisses me off to no end. And I was hoping that Dr. Ewing was going to be able to get them in a place where we could see them together.
This is the Universe X storyline that Frustrated Fan Show is referring to.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that one. I want to say that they were together in the manga universe too. You didn't collect that one, did you?
I collected the issues that T'Challa was in. Yes.
Okay, so I have that whole run. It was like 6 issues, but I want to say that they were together in that one as well. Right. Like it's anticipated that at some point they're going to end up. T'Challa and Storm needs to be our Reed and Sue. Sue has left Reed so many
Exactly.
damn times, right? Because Reed is always has his heads in the cloud working on his science stuff. He neglects his family, blah, blah, blah. He's never cheated on her. He's never done anything to disrespect their marriage other than not giving her the attention that she needs and deserves, right? Sue has been linked to Namor. There have been a couple of times where she was kind of flirting with T'Challa. I want to say Reginald Hudlin himself said that if he would have known better, he would have had T'Challa smash Storm,
Yeah.
Sue
That
Storm.
was in reaction to a post that I made to him.
Right, right. But at the end of the day, we know that Reed and Sue go together like peanut butter and jelly, milk and cereal. You know, these two were the most powerful black superhero couple in comics. Amistad Wathney said, "I wish the Doctor would be given more time. This is so wrong."
Yeah,
And you may very well be right. We just don't know. We should. I don't know if we can ask her, but was this always supposed to be a 10 issue run, or was it cut short? I don't know.
well, we don't know, but we did interview her and we asked her how long the run went. She didn't really give a specific answer along, but you kind of got the illusion that it was for as long as it was successful. Um, and based on the numbers that Chillmonger pointed out on the book for the last couple issues, the book was not successful. So you can blame Marvel, but ultimately
It's a
Marvel's a
business.
business,
It's a business. If
and
we're not supporting it, then
if you're not just supporting it, if you're not, it's not just, hey, I go down to the store every month on Wednesday and I pick up the book. If you didn't pre-order that book or add that book to your pull list, this is what happens. You can be
yeah,
the biggest Black Panther fan in the world, but unless you had a pull list at your LCS or you pre-ordered that book, Those are the only numbers Marvel's cares about. They don't care about what the store ordered and put on the shelf. That's a finite number. They care about how many the store ordered ahead of time,
in
which
advance.
indicates how strong people's desire is for that character.
With
So if you
that
didn't
being
pre-order
said,
it, don't come complaining to me.
if you are a comic book fan and collector, and I would imagine that you are because you're sitting up here at 10 o'clock on a Friday night instead of being in the club, you're listening to a couple of old dudes talk comic books. Go ahead and pre-order Ultimate Black Panther. I would imagine that most of you have already. If you have not, you need to do so at your LCS, which stands for local comic book store. So go ahead and do that. This hold on, go back one.
It's the same post. Frustrated fans and H&H say that John Jennings said it was supposed to be 10 issues. He said he thought it was going to be 10 issues, but not definitively.
Right,
I
but
mean,
go
it's
back.
possible. Look, the way the comic runs now go. Storylines are 5 issues. Why? Because they like to package these storylines into trade paperbacks, and the trade paperbacks consist of 5 issues. So having a 10 issue run indicates 2 trade paperbacks. They're
But
not going to do 11 issues or 12 issues. They're going to do 10.
here's the thing. Somebody just said, and you can pull that comment back up, that Dr. Ewing's run was not good. And I will push back on that, and I will disagree with that. Is it the best run of T'Challa ever? No. To me, no, because that goes to the Hudlin run, that goes to Jungle Action. But I adamantly disagree with Michael Jackson looking there that this was not a good book because it was.
Yeah.
I think Dr. Ewing hit on a lot of things. She showed to me at least that she understands the character. Not only does she understand the character, but she brought in new characters in a very natural, organic way. Now, one of the things that I saw earlier today is somebody was saying on the Twitters, don't give us new characters because they're not going to matter. And I somewhat agree with that. But what Dr. Ewing has done, you could build off of that base. What came before her with that writer, there's nothing that you could build on that because it was built on sand. It was built on garbage. What Dr. Ewing has done, you can absolutely build on that and take it to another level, depending on who you have as a writer. Hickman, Narcisse, Thorne, Hill, whoever, it could be done.
Yeah. C. Cole says if she got the same deal that Cody Ziegler got for Miles Morales was 12 issues, so it got cut 2 issues. Well, it's assuming she got the same deal. I don't know. Miles Morales is a big character. He sells well in mainstream comic book collectors, not just the black community. Um, his book does well, so whoever gets to write that has a lot more leeway. Jet is the name, says they honestly should have kept Hickman idea. For those of you who don't realize what it's a reference to, when Jonathan Hickman wrote Giant Size Storm a few years ago, his idea was to have, because this is back when Coates was writing Black Panther, and Ta-Nehisi Coates brought T'Challa and Storm back together in a very believable,
Organic,
real, adult,
organic.
organic way. Probably the best writing of their relationship that's ever been done, honestly, in terms of showing who they truly are. All the issues that you saw in the subsequent writers' run were inconsistent with what Coates had established that they had become.
Prime
Completely
example, X of
inconsistent.
Swords. X of Swords was stupid in
Right.
relation to their
He's referring
relationship.
specifically to Marauders 13, which I don't talk about anymore. Um, but Hickman's idea was that Storm was going to be pregnant because the storyline had to do with her not wanting to die. And the other mutants were like, well, don't worry about dying. We're
We'll
mutants.
just
We
bring
can
you
bring her
back.
back. And she's like, no, I can't die.
Hold on one second. Let me
And
interject here. For those who don't know, Hickman is a brilliant writer. He
brilliant, right?
created he created the House of X, Powers of X, which has been going on now. The repercussions of that for about 2 years at this point. Basically, the mutants created their own nation state, Krakoa, right? Not only did they create their own nation state, but they had the power of resurrection. What that means is they would download the memories of any mutant, and if that mutant died, they could be then resurrected based on five different mutants, Hope and a couple of others, four others, and their memories would be loaded into which was essentially a clone. What Paul is saying is that Storm, if she went out on a mission and died, did not, well, A, she didn't want to be on a mission and die because she had been impregnated by her husband, not in secret, raising a kid in a foreign country that was not hers. But we all knew that she was married to this man. And as a marital unit, they had a child. Well, allegedly, they were going to have a child. So that's what everybody is talking about. That's what Hickman wanted to do. And all of that was pushed to the wayside. So, yeah.
On that note, I think it's appropriate for us to play this.
Comics are different. Those things cannot be returned if they do not sell. Okay, so that means that if they buy 10 copies of Monica Rambeau Photon and nobody buys it, they eat that money. And your local comic shop is, the margins are very thin, right? Times are hard for everybody. And so what that means is that it gives comic shop owners incentive to be very risk averse, right? And so you could order a bunch of Batman and you know that every month people are going to come in and buy Batman. It's often characters of color, new characters, lesser known characters where they're like, I don't know, this could be good, but if I put this on my shelves and people don't buy it, I lose money. And I'm sympathetic to that. That's a real assessment that they have to make. So the way that we avoid that is you go in and you pre-order. So Paul goes in 3 months before the comic set comes out and says, hello, I would like to pre-order Monica Rambeau Photon #1. I'm not going to wait till it comes out. I'm telling you now that I want it. And at that point, they're like, okay, let me go ahead and order this. And in the comics world, that is the sale that counts. By the time you come into a store and purchase a comic book, that sale does not count. I know it is ridiculous. It is very silly. That is the way it is. The sale that counts is when the store orders it from the distributor. That is what they are counting. And so what that means is that when you go in and you pre-order things, it actually gives that store confidence. Like, okay, Paul said Paul's going to be back and spend his $5 on this book. So we're good. If we order this one, we know it's going to sell and we can pay our rent. We're not going to be eating this cost this month. The best thing to do is your subscription or your pull list where you go in and you say, I want you to put these in every month for me, right? And then they will set that aside in a box.
Message.
Look, just to reemphasize, if you did not pre-order the Black Panther book, don't complain about the results because this is what happened.
What is she a doctor of and from where? Do you know? If anybody knows in the chat,
I don't remember her subject.
Right.
She teaches at a very prestigious university. I want to say University of Chicago, maybe.
Okay. Well, they don't have they don't count. Paul and I are doing this, so if anybody in the chat knows where Dr. Ewing got her advanced degree and from where, put it in the chat while we're talking.
C. Cole says the FOC for that book has already passed. I think he's probably referring to maybe the last issue of Black Panther.
Yeah.
So look, pre-order your books. All right. I mean, I preach this every week. I know you guys are tired of hearing me, but the proof is in the pudding. Look what just happened. And if you don't know where to pre-order your books, there's a place called Blurred's Underground. Look them up. Highly recommend you use. It's a Black-owned comic book shop. Two brothers own this shop.
Where are they?
They've got a great online presence. It doesn't matter where they're located. I don't remember where they're located. It doesn't matter. They're online. So you can go on their website and they can ship you the books. We'll talk more about their ties to the Black comic lords at a later date.
Hold on a second. Hold on. Blurred's Underground. Put in the chat where you guys are located because I personally like going to shops.
They're
I was
not.
in,
They're not in Atlanta. If that's what you're asking.
no. Listen, I travel. I have a passport. I have
Okay, fair enough.
miles. I can go places. So I would like to know where Blurred's Underground is because I like to go to actual physical shops. I like digging through the crates, as they say. So I'd like to know where those guys are.
Yeah. Frustrated fan says that Dr. Ewing was following the John Ridley run. Oh, I forced me to say that name, and was trying to build the character back up. She
Look,
was.
Dr. Ewing understands who that character is more than that writer, right? Will Moss gets the gas face for allowing that writer
How does that
to.
guy still have a job? Because at this point, he's got 2 unsuccessful Black Panther runs under his belt, right?
Who?
Will
Will
Moss.
Moss?
Yeah.
You know, Coates had about 40 issues of Black Panther that he did, roughly. Okay.
But he had the boost. He had the boost from the film.
Yeah. But listen, Will Moss hired, I want to say, I can't remember the dude's name, but he was on the Thor book. Aaron something. I can't remember his name right now. But he did that, and then he hired Dr. Ewing for Black Panther. That was a move in the right direction. But I just don't understand what Will Moss, who is a editor at Marvel, has seen, is seeing with the people he's bringing to these books, specifically that writer.
The limitations, moreover, the limitations he imposes on those writers. When we asked Steve Ewing certain questions, you could clearly tell there's things that she couldn't talk about. And it wasn't just a matter of, oh, this is spoilery, I can't talk about it. It was like, that's not something I can talk about.
Yeah.
Writers' limitations are usually done by editors. So I gotta say that. Mario Van Bryson, it's going to take years to fix the damage that the He Who Shall Not Be Named did. Eve needed more time. She definitely needed more than freaking 10 issues. It's not even a year.
Right. But understand something. She has to undo 2 previous writers. Again, let me just say this. Ta-Nehisi Coates is a brilliant individual, okay? He's an academician. When it comes to current events and stuff of that nature, of that magnitude, he has no peers. But we're talking specifically about a medium of comic books, he was not the best comic book writer to me. What he did with the nation of Wakanda, moving it away from its thousands of years long monarchy to whatever
10,000 years.
Right. Well, I will adamantly disagree with that. You know what I'm saying? In the Marvel 616 universe, you've got several monarchies. Nobody has touched that. They're not making Adelan, where the Inhumans live, into a constitutional democracy. They're not making Atlantis a constitutional democracy, and so on and so forth. So that's why, Ta-Nehisi Coates gets the gas face for me in relation.
How to say you're old without saying you're old. I mean, using references like the gas.
For you guys, look up Third Base. You'll know what I'm talking about. Shut up. You used to play that. You got the CD in your house right now. I know
I'm sure. Shoot, I probably got the cassette somewhere around here.
so
literally, I think I probably have the cassette somewhere in this room.
Right. So, Dr. Ewing was hamstrung by 2 previous not so good writers, and it's unfortunate that at this point, 8-issue run, you can't undo literally 6 years of bad writing in 8 issues.
Well, I mean, I'm not as harsh on Coates as you are, at least with regard to his second volume. But C. Cole does say this. If she came after Coates, she would still be around. He Who Shall Not Be Named burned a lot of goodwill. And there's a lot of truth to that, particularly to those people that are a lot more casual fans. People that read the last run, there are people that literally stopped buying the book, like
I did,
before the book even came to end, like yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
So hold on. I'm sorry to interrupt. You bought all of them?
Yeah.
I see. I stopped 10 or 12.
I'm a collector, so I had to buy them just because my
I'm a
goal is to collect
collector.
all the variants of Black Panther. So it wasn't like I bought them and I was happy about it. I mean, I felt like I was being held hostage.
I actually
Um,
did that.
so the point is, a lot of people refuse to even give Dr. Ewing a fair chance because, from their perspective, the book had been ruined by the last writer.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Thorne is in the house, and he responded, "It won't be me," to the poll.
Which is unfortunate because Mr.
He's
Thorne,
flat out asked Marvel, pitched Marvel his ideas, and they said no.
right? So I'd be interested to hear what Mr. Thorne has to say about the position attributed to him that T'Challa was not necessary to Wakanda. So
Hey Jeff, if you want to come on the show, let me know, and I will send you a link if
yeah.
you're still around.
So what? Hey, what are the votes? What are the votes?
I'd have to go on YouTube. Let me see if I can go on YouTube.
Your store says you prepay when you pre-order. That doesn't make any sense. So do they
No,
not
that
have a
doesn't.
pull list, Seco? Like for my local comic book store, which is Titan Comics in Smyrna, Georgia, you tell them what you want. They pull it for you. You go there, like I did Wednesday and today, because the Marvel pulls from Diamond were late. You pay at that time. So I don't understand why they would want you to prepay and pre-order. What
Yeah, that
city and
doesn't make
state do
any
you live in?
sense.
I don't need your address. I'm just curious. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense at all. Unless you have a history of ordering stuff and not paying. I mean, and I'm not trying to say that you did that, C. Cole, but that's the only thing
I'm
that
not saying
makes
that you didn't.
right, right. Nobody's saying that you ain't pay your bills, C. Cole. I'm guessing you did.
Usually, how most comic book stores work, when you do a pre-order, they will simply take your credit card. You know, if you're doing it online. If you're going to an actual store,
Right.
hold on, sorry. If
Here's
you're
what's
going to
crazy.
an actual LCS, they'll pull the books for you and then,
You
charge
go
you
in
when
and you
you're
pay.
checking out. Yeah.
Here's what's crazy. Paul has been ordering online from a specific store for literally decades. What he and I just discovered about 4 or 5 years ago is that the store that he was ordering from online is in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where I'm from. What is it? Not Great Escape. What's the name of the company?
Oh wow.
I can see the store. I've been in there several times at this point. Impulse
ImpulseCreations.net.
Creations. We both got it at the same time. So Paul has been ordering from this company or this store called Impulse
Had
Creations.
past tense.
Paul was ordering from this company called Impulse Creations for literally decades. Yes, for a couple.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
definitely over 10 years.
Right. And Impulse Creations is in my hometown of Tulsa, Oklahoma. I had no idea that that place even existed until Paul told me so. And then I drove out there to visit it. But I say all that to say if you are ordering online, yes, they may do things differently. But if you have an LCS or local comic book store, if you become a regular customer, say, hey, I'm going to be coming in here every week. I need these particular books pulled. I don't understand why they would want you to quote unquote prepay. That doesn't make any sense to me. Online, yes, but in person, not so much.
All right, I can show the poll. Let's see where we're at. I don't know how to make this bigger.
So you said that before.
Oh, wow.
Sorry, I haven't eaten and I've had a little bit to my bad. So Jeffrey
All right,
Thorne,
so we got, damn it.
where'd
Hold
it go?
still.
Yeah.
It keeps disappearing. Hold on a sec. There we go.
All right.
Jonathan Hickman is leading at 36%, followed by Jeffrey Thorne at 27%, Brian Hill at 9%, and other at 27. Who's the other? Who are you guys? picking as the
I
other.
mean, Evan Narcisse may be one, as an example, right? Did people put comments to say who the others were that they'd want to see?
No. We'll check the chat. People in the chat, if it's not Hickman, Hill, or Jeffrey Thorne, who's your other writer that's 27%? I'm curious to know what that is.
Speaking of Mr. Thorne, Mr. Thorne, if you're still watching, I want to send you my copy of the Black Panther that you wrote so I can get your signature. Or if you're coming to Dragon Con, please let me know because I want to get your autograph for my book.
Why mess with perfection? Auroral parents did it right. A remake is no good when you already got it going good. Word up.
I don't know what that means.
C. Cole, Ultimate Black Panther 3 is up for FOC this weekend.
What does FOC mean?
Final order cutoff. Man, you really need to spend out more time on our Facebook page.
Yeah,
yes, final order cutoff. It means that is the last date that you can pre-order your book from your LCS. So this is the week. I think the final order cutoff ends tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken.
I've already pre-ordered.
So make sure you pre-order that book. What?
Excuse me, real quick. Switching gears very briefly. I know that you personally are a Night Thrasher fan. I'm pretty sure that you have pre-ordered the Night Thrasher book, yes?
Yes.
No, Facebook user, she's not. It just so happens to be that Al Ewing and Eve Ewing both have the same surname. They're not related.
Not even remotely. Al Ewing is a middle-aged white English dude.
But he could be married to Dr. Eve Ewing. But no, they are not.
Eve's second volume trade is also up this weekend. Wow. How ironic is that? Derek says Eve Ewing is a tenured professor at the School of Social Service Administration at the University of Chicago.
Now, is that where she got her paper from? Is that where she got her degree from? I'm just curious. I don't know.
Blurred's Underground answered your question. They're located in LaGrange, which is a suburb of Chicago.
Okay, come pick me up at the airport. I'll be there. I just don't want to get shot. There's a LaGrange, Georgia, as a matter of fact.
What?
There's a LaGrange, Georgia. So when I saw the LaGrange, I'm thinking, oh, he's right down the road, but it's Illinois. I went there for the first time.
As far as her education, University of Chicago is where she got her bachelor's, which means she's smart. Dominican University, Illinois, master's, and Harvard University. Excuse me. Her master's in education. And her doctorate in education came from the Harvard University. Needless to say, she's smarter than anybody that's on this live.
Yep.
Editors tend to keep those gigs for a while, no matter the failures. Yeah. You know, that's the key to revolutionizing comics. The stuff that we complain about, that we want to see in comics, why stories are so bland, why they regurgitate stories. It's not the writers, y'all. It's the editors. Editors are constantly putting shackles on writers' creativity.
Yep. Jason Aaron, Mario, who I follow.
Jason Aaron is another writer.
That's
Respect.
That's good.
I could see him writing Black Panther. For those who don't know, he's the writer, if I'm not mistaken, he wrote the See Wakanda and Die storyline where the Skrulls invaded Wakanda and Storm and T'Challa had to repel that invasion.
Okay, so let's think about that. Let's explore that for a brief moment.
He also was the writer of the Avengers run in which T'Challa was head of the Avengers.
Right. So there was a point in time during the Secret Invasion storyline where the Skrulls, the race of Skrulls, who were shapeshifters, supplanted, replaced a lot of Earthbound superheroes. During that entire storyline, the Skrulls, were basically trying to invade Earth. Wakanda obviously is on Earth. T'Challa left the Avengers, went back to his nation that he is the monarch of, and himself and his crew repelled the Skrull invasion. Okay? An alien nation with superior technology. Think about that. Then, during the most previous run before Dr. Ewing, that same T'Challa got beat by his boy, Steve Rogers, and was put on his tail by a dude riding a buffalo. Okay?
Damn, you almost made me spit up this good
You almost made me spill
whiskey.
my yak. Yeah, it just the
This is real
writing
good, by
on
the
the
way.
previous volume was so very bad. I just
To reiterate, if you want some good black owned or just good whiskey, this Uncle Nearest Rye, this is good.
Uncle
It
Nearest
tastes a little bit like honey on the end.
Uncle Nearest is very good. I'm going to switch gears very briefly. This is not something that you and I had discussed previously.
One last thing.
Okay.
I think this is Birds Underground. They said what she said is true. At the comic store I go to, as soon as I want to read a new comic book series, I just pre-order the whole series at the comic book store. Some of the series I read, my order is just ongoing. I get the email when things come in.
Yeah.
Pre-order your comics. I'm going to keep saying it. I don't care how many times people are going to complain about it. I'm going to keep saying pre-order your damn comics. That's why T'Challa just got canceled.
I think Moss is the editor on Thor. Thor's doing pretty well. I don't know what else he is the editor of, but I know for a fact that he's on Black Panther, obviously, and I think he's on Thor.
C. Cole says he was also the editor of Al Ewing's Mighty Avengers. Al Ewing's Mighty Avengers was a good-ass run.
Yeah, it was.
That was Al Ewing's first Marvel series.
Gotcha. But I want to switch gears very briefly. This is not something that you and I discussed, right? Purple Rain. This is the 40-year anniversary of Purple Rain. I don't know if they're going to re-release it in the theaters, but I have the DVD. But we should try to have at some point a group viewing of Purple Rain and just, get our popcorn, get our Snuggies, and just watch that movie and talk about it. All due respect to
That's an extra 2 hours. I mean, our lives go for over 2 hours. So
we don't have to do it as a live, but just something that we can do it as a community, because that is a seminal movie for me, at least, in Black culture. Right? I saw that movie with my cousin in Tyler, Texas, when it came out in 1984. I saw it July 5th, 1984 is when I saw it.
How did you sneak into the theater? You weren't 18.
He was over.
Well, you kind of old. 18. Were you 18?
Shut up. I was about 13 when I saw that movie, and she took me. I was her guest, and Purple Rain is a phenomenal movie.
How many of you in the chat would like us to do a Purple Rain group viewing? We can't put the movie on the screen, but we can all, watch each other as we're watching the movie.
You got the DVD, you can find it streaming. I don't know if it's on Netflix, Hulu, whatever, but we could.
And we all time when we hit play.
Correct. And then we could tweet each other about it, just something as a community. Purple Rain is a phenomenal movie. It's 40-year anniversary.
That's absurd that you just said that, but I'll probably do it.
Yeah.
Shout out to Tron World with our first super chat. No one else is super chat.
The gas face.
So with that, you get our super chat video, which I can't find because Derek likes to hide everything from me. But that's all right. I'll play my favorite super chat. We absolutely appreciate that. Thank you, man. And for those, and I didn't say this before, and I apologize. For those of you watching, please like this video. And more importantly, if you're not subscribed to our channel, please subscribe to the channel. It costs you absolutely nothing, but it helps our algorithm and helps us to keep in business to do what we do right now.
How many followers are there right now?
I don't like to talk numbers while I'm on the live, but I thank you for that. G-Town comment says, Cap pimp slapped T'Challa all over the place. Couldn't go no further after that.
Right.
After that issue, it was a tough to finish that run.
I did not. Could not.
Mighty Mr. J says, I chose Hickman, but I was debating Tochi Onobuchi as my other.
That's a good one.
Do I like him? Because I understand he's the same writer who wrote the Captain America Sam Wilson run, where he basically fought T'Challa almost to a standstill while wearing a football jersey, jeans, and sneakers, and T'Challa's in his full superpowered self
Vibranium.
and in
Yeah.
his vibranium
So
nanite
he basically
suit.
overpowered Sam Wilson. It seems like, but that was a good.
No,
But that was
Sam
good.
Wilson punched T'Challa while he's wearing his force vibranium absorbing suit, and T'Challa got knocked back, which makes no sense.
It doesn't. But the one thing that I will say is Tochi understood who the character of T'Challa was. The
Did he
science.
though? Because he had T'Challa punch Sam Wilson, and Sam Wilson took the punch, and T'Challa's superpower.
I
That doesn't
understand
make
what
any
you.
sense.
I understand what you're saying, but I do appreciate that particular run. And I do understand that that writer understood, to me at least, who T'Challa was as a character.
If T'Challa and Sam Wilson are both just wearing a t-shirt and shorts and are in a fight, there is no way Sam Wilson should be even close to being toe to toe with T'Challa. I
I
don't
agree.
care how well he's trained with Captain
I,
America. T'Challa is one of the deadliest fighters in the world, and he actually is enhanced. There's
yes,
no way Sam Wilson should be fighting toe to toe with him. Sorry.
yeah, I
That
understand.
that that scene pissed me off and honestly ruined the entire run for me. But he's a good writer because the rest of the run was actually really good. I mean, his writing was really dope. Brian Hill's doing a very good job with Blade, and they'll keep him as long as they can. If Ultimate Black Panther is good, I think he'll be the next to write the main run.
I don't know if
One
I
would
agree
hope
with
and
that,
pray that.
but
Well,
he
first
is.
of all, we
Brian
have to
Hill is
get
very
a
good.
next run. Let's focus on that.
Yeah,
Are we going to even get another Black Panther run? How is Hickman leading by such a large margin? Pericles,
because he's
have you read New
phenomenal.
Avengers?
He's a great writer. Did you read Ultimate Spider-Man? Hickman is very good.
Yeah.
Listen, Hudlin's run to me, and I've said this before in this space. Hudlin's run is the very best run of T'Challa to me personally, followed very closely by the Don McGregor run on Jungle Action. But we don't necessarily need to go backwards to go forward. So
Mighty Mr. J says Hickman writes an amazing T'Challa and Black Panther and treats him with a ton of respect. Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely.
he does. He does.
Al Ewing could get a shot writing Black
Al
Panther.
Ewing is yeah. Al
As
Ewing
much
is
love as that dude gives to Storm, imagine him doing that with T'Challa. Wow.
yeah.
I don't know if he loves T'Challa like that though, because he's got Storm with Craig the Corny Dude, which I'm still bitter about that.
Yeah, same.
In fact, other stores in my city do it as well. It's about not having ordered books that nobody paid for. That's
That
weird.
I can understand. If you have, 10, 12, 20 people pre-ordering stuff and it sits in their boxes
They don't
and they
buy it.
don't pay for it, I can understand them saying, okay, look, we're tired of taking
Yeah,
a bath
the
on
smart
this.
way for an LCS to do it is to have your credit card on file. They pre-order the books, and when they order the books, they charge your card. That way,
I,
they
I
don't
don't
lose money, and you
well, I mean,
definitely
I
are guaranteed to
understand
get
it
your
from
book.
their perspective, but as a customer, I don't want that. But I understand it.
Evening, people. What's up, Darth Verse?
We're talking about Ewings. He's talking about the Ewings. That was so
Uncle
dope.
Nearest is the truth. Bloods Underground switch their personas. Thank you for doing that, so we can keep track
Let
of
me,
you. Bloods
let me,
Underground, please do me a favor. Put the link to your online ordering in the chat so people can order from you. It's a Black-owned store. Support Black business. If we don't do it, who will? Spider-Punk and Night Thrasher are also FOC this weekend. Whoopi Goldberg got 1-2. Whoopi Goldberg got 1-2, but it's a graphic novel coming out in July. All right, I'm going to touch upon the FOCs just because that seems to be popping up a lot. Y'all keep mentioning it. We need to make our own, and we won't have to worry about them stopping it when they want. No, gaming while it's hot. You're absolutely right. But what you have to worry about when we make our own is that we actually buy it. That's the problem. Four Eyes Malone.
I like that avatar.
Gordon Mahan likes your idea about the
Gordon,
Purple Rain viewing party.
you're with me. Right. I agree with you.
Frustrated fan said it's his favorite movie of all time.
Listen, I'm not going to go that far, but Purple Rain was a seminal moment. You understand that Prince was like 24, 25 when that movie came out?
Yeah, that is a classic movie, man. Graduated in '84 was a big deal. Dethroned Thriller.
Graduating in '84. Jesus. So that means Doc
He's
Verse
almost
is
as old as
no.
you.
Shut up. Doc Verse is probably 57, 58. Yeah.
And here we go with another big super chat. Shout out to Bo Big. Always doing it big. Appreciate you, bro. Absolutely appreciate that. Thank you, sir. Sam's time. Dion is in the building, which means trolling shall begin. And that.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Oh God, he's bringing up the last
Don't
one. Pericles, stop
please, let's not
traumatizing us.
discuss
It's
that
bad enough
writer.
he's canceled.
Please, let's not discuss that writer. Why are we discussing the dude who has a blonde pompadour in non-conquered Africa? Come on. Who's the artist on that?
God, I'm still bitter. I'm so bitter. Why do I even remember that run?
Y'all underestimate them Harlem hands? I don't know what that means.
No, Dion. We do not underestimate the Harlem hands. If Hickman wrote BP, it would get canceled. Makes sense.
It would not get canceled.
It wouldn't get canceled. Yes, it would not.
Makes sense. Right.
They would see if Hickman said, "Hey, Marvel, what I'd like to do is I like to write Black Panther." Marvel would say, "Absolutely, Mr. Hickman.
Correct.
Feel free." They would then write him a blank check, give him his own office, give him whatever resources, and said, "Just let us know whatever you need, sir."
And see, this is something that Jeffrey Thorne had mentioned previously on Twitter, is that how Black creatives do not get that same carte blanche when it comes to this type of stuff. And Jeffrey Thorne is as good as or better writer than a lot of these white artists. So yeah.
G-Town says, I think T'Challa did body slam. He did body slam him, but before that, he was kind of holding toe. That just didn't make any sense.
Yeah, I agree. No.
Claremont?
No,
Chris
no,
Claremont? Are you
no,
serious, bro?
No.
No way in hell I'd want Chris Claremont on the Black Panther.
Somebody showed me a tweet yesterday, when I put that poll up, that Chris Claremont said that he did not like the idea of Storm and T'Challa together. So no, he's automatically excluded.
We need the anime blurs and other races to support our characters, otherwise we're in an eternal loop. Well,
what characters do we have? Now, I'm an anime blurred. I love anime. As an aside, since speaking of anime typically is based on manga, however you want to say it. Manga is basically comic books in book form. You have a whole channel dedicated to anime. Because Marvel and DC and Image have been around for decades, there needs to be more animated content from those companies other than what we're getting.
Right.
It makes no sense.
Yeah, I talked about that on our Wednesday wrap up recently. At Mark and I, when we were young, our entry point into comics was cartoons. We had our Saturday morning cartoons, to be specific. Super Friends. We had the Marvel Hour, where they had the old 60s cartoons on repeat, Spider-Man cartoon, etc. This is what got you wanting to read comics, was these cartoons on Saturday mornings. Now, kids today, they don't have Saturday morning routines like Mark and I had when we were kids, because with streaming, people choose to watch stuff whenever they want to watch it. So it's not a matter of Saturday morning, but the idea of having an entry point that kids can absorb and make them interested in comics is important. The two entry points, the entry point that we did not have as kids was video games. That's why, the video game, the Spider-Man video game, the Miles Morales video game, the Marvel Ultimate Alliance, these are important releases because it gets kids interested in these characters. The other way is through animation, through cartoons. There's no current Marvel cartoon series for these characters. There's no current not for a lot of these characters.
Right.
And they don't do it. And there's no reason they shouldn't. I mean, look at the What If series. The What If series should be where Marvel should be focusing their attention on.
Marvel has hundreds of characters. and let's say maybe 20 or 30 main characters, right? There is no logical reason why they should not have cartoons on a dedicated channel, and I
Right.
guess it's Disney Plus for these characters. Why are they not creating
New cartoons.
Avengers, but why are they not creating specifically Black Panther cartoons? Why are they not creating Alpha Flight cartoons? Why are they not creating Fantastic Four cartoons with the understanding that the Fantastic Four has had at least 2 to 3 iterations of those characters, right? Crunchyroll, Funimation, based specifically on manga anime, right? Anime based on,
Netflix, for that matter.
right. You guys don't understand. If you're under the age of 40, which I imagine a lot of you guys are, you just don't understand how good you have it. With Paul and I, anime and cartoon related nerd stuff was not as ubiquitous as it is now. You go on Tubi, you go on Hulu, you go on Netflix, you can
YouTube.
find a ton of anime related content. That wasn't the case when he and I were coming up back in the 70s and 80s, right? They being Marvel specifically have an entire channel that they can focus all of their content on, but they don't do that. And it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, they really should be pushing it. Marvel's not investing in the next generation of fans.
They're not
Stupidly.
investing right. Right. It
Stupidly.
just doesn't have to be print. It just doesn't have to be the movies. You can introduce people through the cartoons. Spider-Man isn't the only character that they have intellectual property of.
Yeah.
Spider-Man has no less than 5 separate cartoon series. No less than 5. Why do we not have an Alpha Flight? Why do we not have a Black Panther? You know, there
They
are
could
several.
they could capitalize on the success of the Miles Morales movies and do a
Yeah,
regular Miles Morales cartoon. Do it in a different format. Do it in a
right.
2D format, a Miles Morales cartoon, and use that cartoon as a way to introduce other Marvel comics for other Marvel characters from the universe in that cartoon and get kids interested in Marvel comics.
Thor, Captain America, Iron Man from the MCU. Each one of them have had cartoons in the past, but the last Captain America specific cartoon was from the 60s. The
Yeah.
last Thor cartoon was from the 60s. Yes, each of those characters made appearances in Avengers Earth Mightiest Heroes or Avengers Assemble, but why do they not have their own animated shows? It does not make sense to me.
We have another proposal for Black Panther writer. Sierra Boxley says
Rodney Barnes is doing a
Rodney
lot.
Barnes. He's
Rodney
doing a lot.
Barnes is doing a lot. And I thought about that. I thought about adding him.
I would. I don't think Black Panther's in his wheelhouse. I would
Yeah,
think a character I'd love to see, but Rodney Barnes write would be Doctor Voodoo.
or Blade.
That would be
I
awesome.
see Rodney Barnes doing Dr. Voodoo.
Or Blade,
Yes.
or better yet, a Blade Doctor Voodoo team up. Oh my God, that would be
You're doing too much. Relax.
that would be sick.
You're doing too much. You're doing too much.
No, I'm being a fan and I'm fanboying right now.
Yeah, I
The
don't see
Blade Doctor Voodoo series by Rodney Barnes would be the end all be all of everything.
For those who don't know, Rodney Barnes writes the Philadelphia universe storyline. Philadelphia, Paul introduced me to the Philadelphia storyline, which also includes Anita Hawes. What is it called?
Neil Hawes, Nightmare Blog.
Nightmare Blog. He's created a whole universe. The artist is Jason Alexander. Phenomenal, phenomenal. If you're not collecting Philadelphia, I highly suggest that you get it.
I'm really behind on the comments, so let me get through these.
Yeah.
Did I hear Purple Rain?
Yes, you did. Yes. But
You
going
have
back
to cure
Rodney
yourself in the
Barnes,
water of Lake Minnetonka.
Yep.
Oh man, that videotape I had, I must have burnt out that section as a kid.
We need to do a Purple Rain group video watch.
Oh, Sierra, you did get here today. Yes, Sierra, it's true.
Yeah.
Issue
Well, it's
10 will be
going
the
up until
last issue
issue
of
10.
Eve Ewing's run.
Yep, issue 10.
C. Cole says no, Black Panther 10 is the last issue. However, earlier listings for that book did not say that. The FOC did not say final issue for that book. There's no FOC for issue 11, and Marvel has other books that are out beyond that month at this point. So it's canceled.
What's going on, Chad?
Four Eyes Malone. My daughter got into comics partially from me, but mainly from watching the cartoons on Disney. Yeah, I mean, my daughter loved the Moon Girl cartoon, and she subsequently asked me to buy her Moon Girl comics. Coincidence? I think not.
Yep. That's right.
Birds on the Ground says, don't forget Moon Girl. Yeah.
Yeah.
Moon Girl is amazing, and the kids are loving it. Absolutely. Moon Girl was a big hit. I don't know what's taking so long on the next season, but they need to come out with that quickly. A new Brother of Voodoo series is long overdue. I wonder if these ideas thought of. If not, then why? I'm sure they've thought about it, but understand it's editorial that makes the decisions on what books come out.
So
I got if you haven't been able to tell, I got beef with Marvel editorial.
So is Voodoo anywhere? Like, I don't know.
Brother Voodoo?
Yeah.
No. He's not even a guest appearance in any books right now.
Yeah.
Wasted character. I know a few people who got so turned off from Ridley from his He Who Shall Not Be Named's run, they didn't even pick up the current run by Eve. That's true. That I think
that's
honestly
to Dr. Ewing.
That was a major factor in Dr. Ewing's run, is that a lot of people got so turned off by the last run they want nothing to do with Black Panther again.
Right.
Because quite frankly, it was offensive. The book was offensive in many parts.
It was.
I wanted a Frank Miller and Daredevil cartoon. That I don't see that happening.
But that would be cool though.
It would be cool, but that's not happening.
And
I wanted a Daredevil cartoon as a kid.
I'm looking forward to the new Daredevil series.
Oh, Jeffrey Thorne's still here. He says, I never said anywhere that T'Challa was not necessary to Wakanda. That's because you're a smart man and not stupid. C. Cole says they are sort of doing that with Spidey and Friends cartoon, but it's for a younger audience. That's the cartoon. I think it's on YouTube, the Spidey and Friends cartoon, but it's like really, really young. Really young. It's like preschooler type thing. But good news, we got another super chat. Frustrated Fan Show. With that, thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
Donation. It's a donation. I thought it was the trash. Don't be hitting on me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Frustrated. He asked the question, what do you think about Tyler Martin or Crownson writing Black Panther? Now, David Crownson, who's currently writing Harriet Tubman, Demon Slayer.
I need to get that. I don't have that.
You don't have it yet, man?
Yeah. No, I need to get that.
You got to get that run. I'd be cool with it. Blurs on the Ground. Rodney Barnes is hot right now. I'm loving Philadelphia, and he just did Blackula too. Again,
I don't have Blackula.
Rodney, what? You don't have Blackula?
No, I need to get that.
I need to gift that book to you because that book was phenomenal. I mean, that's one you start reading, you just read the whole thing. Rodney Barnes writing Dr. Voodoo and Blade as a team up would be beyond fantastic. But his own stuff that he's doing, which is far more important than anything he could do for Marvel, is absolutely brilliant. Philadelphia's the best book on the shelves. The stuff that he's doing with all the crossovers with Savage Dragon and Spawn, Nita Hawes, Blackula, all being in the same book.
Spawn is making an appearance in Philadelphia.
Oh God,
right. Yeah,
he's doing big moves. Lord help the community when Philadelphia finally gets optioned.
So okay, let's stop. Who would you fan cast in that series?
Phil
Live
Morris.
action.
Phil Morris would be James Sangster because he's already James Sangster.
But he's old.
He's James Sangster,
I understand
not
that,
Garrett Morris. Phil Morris,
but he's old. He's like
but he
64.
is Phil. He is the character.
I understand that, but he's old.
Okay.
So you'd
So is
still
James Sangster. James Sangster's not young.
okay? All right. Who else?
Uh, who else would I cast? I mean, it
Mhm.
doesn't matter all the other characters, man. Your buddy Travante Rhodes could be
Lord Jesus.
Toussaint Louverture.
No, no, no.
Joey Badass could be
Who's that?
Seesaw.
Why do I know that name? Joey Badass.
Do you watch? He's a rapper for one. He
Right.
also
Right.
is on the Power Universe Raising Kanan show.
Yeah, stop watching that.
Oh, well, there you go. Gordon Mahan, Blade and Dr. Voodoo have met a few times in the past. A new series with both would be great. Absolutely. The series they first met in was Doctor Strange issue number 62, I think.
Volume
Off
one or
the top of
volume
my
two?
head. Huh?
Volume one or volume two?
Technically, it's volume 2
Okay.
because volume 1 was a short miniseries.
It was. It was like
Yeah,
seven,
it's
10
it's
issues.
volume 2, issue number. I think it's 62. Is when Brother Voodoo and Doctor Strange first met.
Here's what's crazy of that because I ordered some
Now you're
Dr.
making me look it
books.
up because I don't want to give you guys wrong information. Give me a
Right.
second.
So I have most of volume two of that run. Volume two, yeah, volume two of Doctor Strange is 81 issues. The only ones that I'm missing are issues 1 through 4, and they are kind of prohibitively expensive. So I have a good
No, it
set
was
of
issue 48. I had the wrong date, wrong issue number, and I will show it to you so you can see what I'm talking about.
There you go.
Doctor Strange, Volume 2, number 48, first appearance, first meeting between Doctor Strange and Brother Voodoo. And what's interesting with this particular run is several issues later, just as an aside, you have this, which is the first meeting between Doctor
Scarlet
Strange
Witch,
and Monica Rambeau and Scarlet Witch.
which happened in live action. Yep.
This issue had a big spike when Monica Rambeau was announced for the MCU. And then there is issue this one. I think it's this one. No. Where is it?
What are you looking for?
The first meeting between Doctor Strange and Blade. I have it here somewhere.
It's in volume 2.
Yeah, it's in volume 2.
Oh wow! So I have it.
It
Like I said, the ones I'm missing are 1 through 4.
it might be this one, if I'm not mistaken. Don't hold me to this, but I think it's issue number 61. The Origin of Vampires, or maybe it's 62. I think it's 62. Doctor Strange versus Dracula. Either 61 or 62 is where Blade first meets Doctor Strange.
And that's pertinent because in the most recent volume of Blade, Doctor Strange makes several appearances. So yeah. So I have all those. So, I've been a long time fan of Doctor Strange myself. Again, the only issues that I'm missing are 1 through 4.
Jeffrey Thorne says, I would show up for a Blade Drum team up miniseries. I don't need you to show up. I need you to write it.
I'm pretty sure that's what he means.
Don't forget Monarch by Barnes. It finished its run.
I'm not familiar with that.
Jeffrey Thorne says, I pitched a Jericho drum series, no takers. Jeez, man. He was the headmaster of Strange Academy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Jeez. Every time Jeffrey Thorne tells me his pitches, I get very upset. Because I'm like, the pitches he makes are stories that us as fans actually would want to read and would actually want to buy, and they never get picked up. Which goes back to my point that the reason Marvel Comics has so many problems is its editorial.
Right. Behind the scenes says, are upset fans to blame for that writer's run getting sales? If we didn't like it, we shouldn't have supported it. In this case, supporting did more harm than good. Now, I have a tweet out from issue number 2. That was exactly 2 years ago. It was January of 2022 when I first expressed myself issues with that writer's interpretation of
We
how
literally were on the show and we both said, with issue number 2, there's something wrong with this run.
Right. And so, and I've also tweeted out that I, as a collector, was being held hostage by my fandom. But at issue around number 10, enough was enough. And that's when I personally stopped collecting it. I told my local comic book store, look, don't put that nonsense in my box anymore. Somebody on Twitter said that run was interesting because people were talking about it. We were talking about it because it was so very bad. But I don't know how long people stayed around for it. I know Paul stayed around for the whole thing. I'm interested to see if behind the scene, if you stuck around for the whole thing or anybody else. Like I said, I bailed out around issue number 10 or 11. I just could not cotton to that character being treated in that way by that writer. No, couldn't do it.
Oh, good news. Gordon Mahan says Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur season 2 drops February 2nd.
So has Disney been pushing that? Because they did not push. Well, let me not
They
say
have
that,
not pushed that.
Netflix
We're
did
at
not push My Dad the Bounty Hunter season 2 at all.
it's January 26th. I have a Disney Plus account. I'm a major fan of Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, and I didn't know that. And we're 1 week away from that date. So that tells me Disney's doing yet again a sucky job at promoting its books, its material, its movies. That's a damn shame. All these characters are oftentimes maligned by poor promotion. Right. I said this at the live we had last on Wednesday. Disney has the ability to make any character popular.
Yep.
With proper promotion. They made a talking raccoon an international superstar. They can literally make
Ant-Man, anyone, the whole trilogy.
They can literally make any character famous if they choose to do so with proper promotion. The fact that a literally critically acclaimed, I think it's even nominated for awards, television show I didn't know is coming out February 2nd, that's not a good look.
Yeah.
Frustrated fan says he'll hook you up.
I appreciate that, but I'm gonna go to my store. I just got to remember that it's out there.
Yes, go support Mr. Barnes and actually buy the book.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I plan on it.
Brother Voodoo was in Strange Academy. Yeah, he's the headmaster at the moment. The big seller would be T'Challa and Blade in the team up. It makes sense. If you want, the closest you'll have to that would be Jason Aaron's run on Avengers, which they're on the same team. And check it out. Our boy Jeffrey Thorne. Thank you, sir. Kicking in money. Nothing special to say. Sir, everything you say is special. Everything you do is special. We appreciate you. And with that, I give you my favorite super chat.
The criticism that I give for Ryan Coogler in that first Black Panther movie was the fight choreography. That's the only criticism I give for him.
But well, they should have had the fight the guy who did the choreography on Winter Soldier.
Say that again.
I said they should have used the choreographer from Winter Soldier.
Absolutely, that is absolutely correct.
Birds Underground says Damson Idris.
I don't know what that's in reference to, but he is my number one choice to be the next T'Challa.
He is my number one choice as well. David
David
Walker as a writer.
Walker, I guess on Black Panther, perhaps.
Dion says the controversy of Miles Thor got it more sales. We complained and they got rich. That terrible comic got more sales than other superior books. In this social media age, marketing is different. Yeah, I mean,
Is that hold on? Is that a fact? What are you basing that on behind the scene? That was a bad book. Okay, it really was. Other than the fact that Odin, the way they drew Odin, was spectacular. I've rarely seen a character drawn in such a cool, badass way.
no, I'm not bringing up the
That
picture.
Say it again.
I said, no, I'm not going to bring up the picture again. You keep
I
asking me
want
to bring
you
the
to.
picture up.
You know, I want you to. But that Odin was bad, but that book was bad. So, what are you basing that on? Like, what numbers have you seen? Because that was a very, very bad book.
Frustrated fan says Damson just would be great fit for that character. I
Yes,
assume
he
he's
would.
talking about
He
Black
absolutely
Panther.
would.
Franklin Saint from Snowfall could play
No,
Joe. He's young.
no.
Oh, maybe Junior.
No.
Maybe he's talking about James Sangster Jr.
I understand that. No, I want him as T'Challa. I don't want him in any other comic book property.
Oh, you're being
He is
silly. They're two
T'Challa.
different genres.
I understand that. It's still a comic book movie. You know how I feel about that.
Pericles asks, is Joey Badass acted before? Yeah, he's on the Power Show. And before that, he was on what was the movie he was in? Oh shoot. He was in a movie where he played like a chess player or something. I don't remember what movie it was. But yeah, he's on the Power television series.
I have no idea.
C. Cole says, behind in Miles Thor case, the writer does that type of writing in his other books. I have read his other books, and that dialogue makes more sense. Marvel chose the wrong writer for that. Yeah, that no one's heard of that dude since he did that book. He literally gave back his money to Marvel when he wrote that book.
What are you basing that on? Are you being serious?
No, that was an article. Yes, he literally gave back the money. He said the
So
money
for
I
those
got
who
for that
don't know,
role.
hold on a second. For those who don't know, there is a series of what if books that involve Miles Morales. I want to say 5 or 6. And those books were what if Miles Morales was like the Hulk? What if he was Captain America? So on and so forth. And there was a book, I want to say maybe it was issue number 3 or 4, where what if Miles Morales was Thor? And the way that the writer of that book, had the characters talking, it reminded me of 1970s blaxploitation movies written by white people. It was like, yo, my brother. It was just very, very
It was
bad and
It was bad.
stereotypical.
It was cringy moments that you have with non-melanated people all the time.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Thorne says, you get upset.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think you've revealed so many pitches that you've done that have been rejected that just leave me just puzzled.
Right.
But then you realize, again, Marvel's editorial is what's holding Marvel back.
I'd be interested, and I understand that you don't necessarily, Mr. Thorne, want to shoot
by Odin's fade. God, let's
right. But I'd be interested to know whether or not Mr. Thorne has had conversations with Will Moss specifically. That's something, if you want to send me in the DMs or whatever, but that's something that I'm curious about. Wow, behind the scenes says he bailed around issue number 3.
Gordon said he stayed for the whole run. I feel
Bless your heart.
That is true.
Listen,
the
let me
covers on He Who Shall Not Be Named's run were some of the best Black Panther covers of all time.
Those were Ross, right? What's his
first name? Yeah. Alex Ross worked his ass off in his covers.
Is one of the best artists out there in comic books ever.
Let me pause. One of the best comic book covers of all time. Artist of all time. Number 1 goes to Torrin Clark. I said what I said.
Okay. So Ross it's like, it reminds me of that artist from back in the 50s and 60s. I can see it now, but I've been drinking. I can't remember the artist's name.
The
But
liquor, the liquor be playing tricks on your mind. Dude.
it does. It does. But that aside, Ross's covers.
What? No, which artist are you talking about? What book was it? If you can't remember the name of the artist,
No. He wasn't an
you said
artist
50s
of
and 60s.
comic books. He was just an average artist, and he did like, okay. So remember that Thanksgiving art where you see the white folks with the turkey, and there's a
Yes, I
family.
think I know which artist you're talking about. Oh,
Saturday
geez.
Evening Post.
The Saturday Evening Post artist. I know exactly who you're talking about.
Right. What is his name? Help me out.
Jesus, why can't I remember his name? I own a print of his art in my house.
Right. Because he did a picture of basically of Ruby Bridges being escorted by the marshals.
Yes,
What
the picture
is
I
that
have
guy?
is the one that's up in the United Nations, talking about treat others as you should want to be treated. The golden rule.
Right. What is his name?
Norman Rockwell.
No. Thank you. Jesus Christ, I was going to die. So basically, Alex Ross's art reminds me of Norman Rockwell for comic books, right?
Yeah.
His art on the covers of Black Panther Volume 8 were spectacular, but the interior stories were just so god awful. It just, oh God, it was bad. Go back. Listen. The liquor's got to me. You know, I'm saying stuff, so forgive me. But go back 2 comments. Go back 2 comments, please. I bailed out when Steve Rogers told T'Challa to go back to Africa. So what Mario was talking about during that writer's run,
That was
Steve
disrespectful.
Rogers, a member of the Avengers, literally told T'Challa, the king of an African nation, to go back to his country.
Go back to Wakanda.
Right. He told him to go back to Africa. I let it slide when he referred to T'Challa as the, Afro Kitty or the feline, whatever it was he said. But having Steve Rogers, who was a very progressive individual, tell the black character to go back to Africa, nah, bro. Nah.
And actually, Steve and T'Challa have always been cool. That's like one of his best friends.
Always.
They've
They are
always been
like
cool.
brothers, right?
Those dudes are best friends.
They've never had beef, ever. Understand something. I have been collecting Black Panther for years, decades. I have been collecting Avengers for literal decades, since the 70s. T'Challa and Steve Rogers, Captain America, has never had beef until that writer.
Miss me with Junior.
You mean the Haitian bastard child, Mr. I do not acknowledge the Haitian bastard child.
Oh, you're gonna make me pull this up again, aren't you?
Okay, so your children are bastard. Please pull that up if you've got it handy. If not, I understand. But
oh God, I never get tired of this.
No, I want the video. You got the audio, the video of that?
I don't
if
have.
not,
I'm
no.
not gonna get tagged by.
Okay.
Well, I got in trouble with the rest of the Black Comic Lords.
So for those who don't know, there was a show called The Game of Thrones, which was a worldwide
House of Dragons.
phenomenon.
House of Dragons.
As I said, there was a show called The Game of Thrones, which was a worldwide phenomenon between 2010 to 2018-19. They created a prequel called The House of Dragons. And one of the issues with the first Game of Thrones, the lack of black people during the first 5 or 6 seasons. The prequel, House of Dragons, one of the major houses in Westeros was a black family. This dude right there that you see on your screen, he was the second son or the brother of the house, the head of that
his
house.
name was Corvus Valerian.
The Valerians were a black family who also were dragon riders. He was upset because his his wife, nephew's wife had kids that were supposedly his. Now they were biracial. They were whiter than white, and you got to watch House of Dragons. And he has this scene that says her kids are bastards. Now he didn't have any more scenes after that for a particular reason.
They go to him and say, they're like, say it. Go ahead, say it. Say it.
I dare you.
I dare you to say it.
Game of Thrones, if you have not seen House of Dragons, you're doing yourself a disservice. Very, very good
Lord.
writing. Very good writing. Yeah. So yes, no. According to Mr. In line with Mr. Thorne, I do not recognize the Haitian bastard child as the successor to T'Challa.
Yohanan Mercado, the writer of that Miles Thor book, also did Guardians of the Galaxy mobile game. He did the book Sci-Fu. That was that dialogue in it, and he sold very well to kids. Well, they're children. Jeffrey Thorne says, "Will put me on King in Black and offered me a one-shot on the Empire of Wakanda." What?
So Will
I turned a lot of down because I don't like that whole thing, but Will is responsible for me being on King in Black.
Okay.
Well, it's good to know Will Moss did one thing right.
He's done two things right. Like I said, he hired
he also hired Eve Ewing, which was also a good thing.
He's done three things
right. Amir in the building. When Brian Stelfreeze stepped down as the artist of Black Panther, things went downhill.
Amir,
by the way, Brian Stelfreeze is here in Orlando for the Orlando original art exhibition that's taking place tomorrow. I'm going to try and go to that and I think I have a Black Panther issue from the Coates run that has a blank cover. I'm going to take it there and see if I can get him to do some original art for me on that cover.
When you said Amir, do you mean our Amir?
No. This is 1 in 100 podcast. His name is Amir.
Gotcha. And when I say that, one of the dudes who we went to school with is named Amir. So.
All right.
Yes, Rockwell.
Jack the Gamer, if you two were in charge of writing the next Black Panther run, how would you write it? What would you do with the franchise? Issue number 1, T'Challa beats a big bad who tries to take over Wakanda under his new persona of being the false Black Panther. And then after defeating the big bad, it's revealed that it's actually T'Challa who defeated the big bad. And the people were like, "Hail King T'Challa!" And they decided to make him king again, bring him back. And then in the next issue, there's an envoy from the Empire of Wakanda that comes to Wakanda from outer space and says, Emperor T'Challa, we need your help with a big bad. And the big bad comes up and he defeats them, the forces of Wakanda on Wakanda Prime, because they try to invade Earth. And then also adding to his accolades. And then by the third issue, some girl is like, "Dude, you're kind of cool." And he's like, "Yeah, I know I'm cool, but I think you're cool too." And he just starts a relationship and he starts to date her. And he's like, "You know what? Ultimately, I want to have Storm. Let me go get my girl back."
So, no, I wouldn't do that personally. But what I would do is I would make the nation of Wakanda be somewhat of a failed state under democracy, and kind of piggybacking off.
What's implied with what I said?
Piggybacking off of what Paul said, slow down on the drink. I would basically say that
this Uncle Nearest is really good.
The
by the way,
citizens would want their monarch back. They would want T'Challa to come back not only as the Black Panther, but as their king. He wouldn't necessarily have. I'm a huge fan of political drama, espionage, things of that nature. That's why I will always say that Captain America: Winter Soldier is the best Marvel Universe movie. I like that whole aspect of it. I would want Wakanda to fail as a state based on politics, not because some big bad came in, but because the people running things didn't know what the hell they were doing. And the people were like, "You know what? We don't like the way that our nation is going. We liked it better under T'Challa, and for him to come back. I would also want him to, yes, you can have some big bad come in. You don't necessarily need to invent some new character. You can delve into the crates, have somebody else from his past come back. I'm sure Claw's out there somewhere. Not Killmonger, but what's my guy's name? Craven the Hunter, or somebody like that, come back and he has to fight them or whatever. But I do want him to get Storm back. I want that relationship
absolutely,
to last for the next 30 years.
That turning that last run
before the
turning its back on what Coates had established really pissed me off, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I mean, that was 20 years in the making, and in one run he destroyed the whole concept.
Yeah.
And in a completely stupid way, too. That didn't make sense. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. Let's move on.
T'Challa in the last run was not the man that we have known him to be over the past 50 years.
Yeah, the last run sucked. We don't need to belabor the point. Let's. I don't want to talk about it. C. Cole, Joey Battis was also in Mr. Robot with. That's a show I couldn't remember. Mr. Robot with Rami Malek. Thank you. Captain America was feeling his inner Donald Trump.
Yeah, that's funny.
That's facts. I name no names, sir.
Listen, we can have attorney-client privilege if you want. Just send me $1. That's attorney-client privilege.
Send me a penny, and then you can retain our services. You can tell us all your secrets, so we're not allowed to talk about it. That was the worst ass whipping I've seen.
In fairness, Killmonger, especially during the Jungle Action run, Killmonger used to give T'Challa that work. He like consistently gave T'Challa that work. But in
the Priest run, Killmonger literally put him in a coma.
It did not make sense for those two characters to have beef or battle with each other. It made no sense. So that's the issue for me. What are the comments?
Dion says, we all know Brother Voodoo is going to teach T'Challa Jr. and he will have the
Haitian
man, I am not even giving you no play on that. Even though I did made a prediction that Brother Voodoo would show up in the next Black Panther movie and help Shuri reach the mystical side and bring her brother back. That's my pitch to Marvel. It says Troy Graham should write the next Black Panther series.
Written by Troy Graham. All due respect, whoever that Troy Graham is.
Wow, that's some shade. That is.
No. Thorne is a recaster. Very good. Thank you, Mr. Thorne. So, Jeffrey Thorne, who would you want as the new T'Challa? That's what I would like to know. Do you have that picture, Paul, that I've sent before?
I was about to play our shade video because the shade just threw at Mr. Graham, but I can't find it because friggin' Derek makes everything hard to find on our list here.
Okay. So
you and I seriously need to have a chat, Derek, about how to make things a lot more easier to find.
Fine. All right. So, there are several actors out there who I feel would do the role of T'Challa well. My number one, obviously, that I've said in this space a lot of times is Damson Idris. Mr. Thorne, who are your top 3 actors to be T'Challa if you were in charge of the property? That's what I would like to know.
All right, so we'll find out what his answers are on that. I don't know what happened to Chimera and Azari. Maybe they will have to deal with Ultimate Black Panther. That's interesting.
So Azari was the son of T'Challa and Storm in the Avengers Next, if I'm not mistaken.
Here's the thing with Azari. Azari was part of the Next Avengers.
Yep.
He has not been seen since what's the name of that book? Not New Avengers. All New Avengers. It was the one that where Sunspot was leading the Avengers, not US Avengers. It was an Avengers title. And basically it was proven that Maria Hill, the new Avengers, the next Avengers, came to the 616 universe. Maria Hill basically put them in a bunker, like a safe house somewhere. It's like, what am I going to do with you next? That's the last you saw those guys. Technically speaking, The next Avengers are in the 616 universe. We just don't know what happened to them. So
What book is that?
Azari T'Challa does exist in the 616 universe technically.
What book is that? Do you know?
It's an Avengers book. I just don't remember which one.
Yeah, because basically what Paul was talking about, as I said, very early on in this discussion, was the Avengers next cartoon, which is on Disney Plus. So
You're
I'm,
gonna make
I'm
me
just
look it
not
up.
sure.
Avengers World. That was the name of the title.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that at all. I don't
In
know what
fact,
that.
I'll even show you the issue. Avengers World out of my collection here. Crap, I can't find it.
So I'd be interested to know while Paul is doing that in the chat, who do you folks, if you were in charge, if you were the producer of the next Black Panther movie, who would you, as an individual, choose to be the actor to be the next T'Challa? That's one of the things that I'm curious about.
I believe I might be wrong, but I believe from this I'm doing this purely from memory. It's definitely the Avengers World run, but I believe this is the final issue that you see Azari T'Challa and the
Yeah,
rest of the next Avengers, and they're in a basement in a safe house in the 616 universe.
yeah, I'm not familiar with that at all.
This is issue number 14.
Okay, so earlier we were talking about Tom Taylor and his alt world story or future line story. That book was called Dark Ages, right? And that's when we were introduced to T'Challa's daughter. I'm looking right now to see if we can figure out what her name was because I just don't remember. But the Dark Ages storyline came out
No, Dion, that's blasphemous. I don't. No.
3 years ago now. Yeah. So if you can find the Dark Ages storyline, it was a 6 issue miniseries that was actually pretty good. And in it, again, you have Storm and you have T'Challa together. So
Amir is asking what we're drinking. Amir,
I'm
I am
drinking
currently drinking.
Greenwood Rye, but I'm done with it.
I
It's
have
finished.
Uncle Nearest Rye,
Yeah.
which
He and
is
I
a
both have
hundred
been
proof.
drinking on this for a month. We decided that we're no longer going to buy weekly new whiskeys. We're going to do it by month.
Crap, I
So
only
with
have
that
enough of
being
that
said,
Uncle
if
Nearest to
you do
last me
not
one
have
other show.
if you do not have the Dark Ages storyline by Tom Taylor, highly encourage you to pick it up.
And we have another super chat. Those pictures were so bad, Paul. I'm wrong. He hated my pitches. Well, look,
I
these are just
don't blame him.
these were just my personal pitches. But with the super chat, we give you this. Thank you, sir.
Donation. It's a donation. I thought it was the trash. Don't be hitting on me.
Thank you.
Thank you
Okay,
very much. Appreciate that.
let's switch gears for a minute. We've been talking about T'Challa for a very long time.
Yes.
One of the things that Paul and I do, we talk about the whiskey, we talk about the books that we're reading, and we talk about what to watch. I know Paul has not seen this. I'm not going to discuss any spoilers, but there is a movie called American Fiction that stars Jeffrey Wright, Leslie Uggams, Tracy Ellis Ross, and
Oh,
Joe.
Jeffrey Thorne answered your question, by the way. Didn't mean to interrupt you.
I would be mad at Aldous Hodge for VP. A lot of people have said that. My only objection to Aldous Hodge is A, I don't know if he would be able to do the accent because I've not heard him do an African accent. B, because he was already Hawkman. Yes, I understand that it was in a different universe. I get that, but I don't like when they recycle actors for multiple superhero roles. That's my only objection to him. But that
Damson
aside,
Idris is a variant T'Challa versus being T'Challa.
no, Damson to me at least would be the T'Challa. But if you have not seen the movie American Fiction, came out a few weeks ago. It's been nominated for 5 Oscars. Sterling K. Brown is the other actor in it. It's been nominated for Best Actor with Jeffrey Wright, Best Supporting Actor with Sterling K. Brown. If you have not seen it, I saw it earlier today. It is literally laugh out loud funny at certain points, but it is not a typical movie. There's nothing that I can think of to compare it to. It's about a guy who is an author who is tired of his academic work being ignored. So he actually creates his Coldest Winter Ever type book. If you've not read The Coldest Winter Ever, it is a phenomenal book by Sister Soldier.
Jay gave the full list of
Right.
Black Panther.
But we're talking about this movie. This movie is very, very good. Again, it was nominated for 5 Oscars. If you have not seen uh, American Fiction, I encourage you to go watch it. We don't have a lot of Black movies that come out. This is one that is not a stereotypical movie. It does not involve drug dealing. It does not involve the protagonist being killed by cops. It does not involve, baby mamas and things of that nature. It is a Black movie.
Killmonger liked the movie too.
Yes, it is a Black movie that is not stereotypical. Highly recommend American Fiction. Now, with that being said, although it was nominated for 5 Oscars, this is going to be the year of Oppenheimer. I do not see this movie winning the acting Oscars because Oppenheimer is probably going to be the darling of the Academy. But
more so than Godzilla -1.
Godzilla, I'll talk about that here in a second as well. American Fiction touched me in a very different way because of some of the issues, right, that involved it. Mr. Thorne, thank you for joining us. We will talk to you later. American Fiction, it's not a stereotypical movie. It is a phenomenal movie, and I highly encourage you guys to go see it. We talk about the fact that we don't get a lot of Black movies or whatever the case may be. This is one that is worthy of our support.
This is a name interesting. Michael Ward from Top Boy.
Yeah, I
could actually see him as a young T'Challa.
My only issue with him is he's too young and he's too short. He's not a 6-footer. I know for a lot of people that won't matter, but he's a good actor. He's a very good actor.
Yeah.
But going back to what we were discussing, American Fiction, I highly encourage you folks to go see it.
Dion says Oppenheimer is overrated.
And that's fine, but Christopher Nolan is one of the best storytellers out there now. Oppenheimer is a 3-hour movie about how the atomic bomb was created here in America. It is a phenomenal movie. I watched it. It's just spectacular because there's really no action in the movie. It's just, for lack of a better term, it's just words. But Chris Nolan is a brilliant storyteller. So I can see that one sweeping all the awards. Paul mentioned a moment ago Godzilla -1. To me, Godzilla -1 was snubbed at the Oscars. A lot of people say that Barbie was snubbed, and it kind of was. But Godzilla -1 was one of the best pictures that I saw last year, and the main actor in it should have been nominated for Best Actor.
Yeah, I just watched that movie this past weekend. It really was a good movie.
And they did not have the same type of money in that movie. Okay, so
$15 million budget.
Right.
They made 3 times, 5 times that amount.
Over the past 5 or 6 years, whatever company that is, has created a monster universe with Godzilla and
Toyo.
They also have a series called Monarch, which is a spectacular series. If you have not
great series, I binge watched that.
Spectacular. That series is a 10. There's nothing that could do better for that series to make it better. It is a 10 as a series, Monarch. I didn't know going into Godzilla -1 what it was about. I didn't know if it was part of that Monarch universe or not. It was not. This is a Japanese, you know, version of Godzilla, and it was spectacular. The amount of money that they put into this is not the same level that you would get in Godzilla King of Monsters, Kong Skull Island, things of that nature, because you don't have a bloated budget based on actors or stars. It's just story driven. Phenomenal, phenomenal movie. If you have not seen it, highly recommend Godzilla Minus One. And again, I will say that it was snubbed at the Oscars for at least best picture, best director, best actor.
One last topic for us to talk about before we leave is this book right here, which I can't find. Damn it. I thought I had it, but I don't have it. You wanted to talk about Superman Lost.
Right. So in this space, what we do is we highlight not only Black characters, but Black creatives. Christopher Priest, whose real name was what? Jason Owsley? What was his given name?
Owsley.
James
Something
Owsley?
Owsley.
Something like that. But Christopher Priest wrote volume 3 of Black Panther. And for a lot of people, he is the best Black Panther writer. He has, over the past, 20 years, bounced around between Marvel and DC and, other independent labels or whatever the case may be. He's written a lot of stuff. To me, his writing has been kind of odd at certain points. He had a book, starts with an S, called, what's that book called? It
Starts with
started
an
with
S.
the S. Yeah,
The most
I'll
recent
pull
book
it
he had
up here in a
before
second. Go
Superman
ahead.
Lost was Entropy.
No, I'm not talking about that one. I'll find it here right now. But Christopher Priest has appeared on Deathstroke. He's appeared in Justice League, things of that nature. The writing on that was hit and miss to me. On this one, Superman Lost, he kind of knocked it out of the park. This is a pretty good storyline. Basically, you have Clark Kent Superman who literally gets lost in space, right? So in his timeline, he's away from Earth for decades, okay? But he eventually makes his way back to Earth, and for his wife, Lois Lane, he's only been gone for maybe a couple of days, a week, if that. I was talking to my local comic book store guy, Mike, and he and I both agreed, even though this book was 12 issues, it literally could have been 8, maybe 9. It did not need to be 12. But all that aside, this was a good read. And, again, for me, Christopher Priest has been hit and miss over the past few years. This was definitely a hit. Did you read this book?
No, I'm not a Superman guy.
I'm not a Superman guy either, but I'm a Christopher Priest somewhat fan. So that's why I picked it up.
All right. Well, look, we've been on here for 2 hours, and we truly appreciate you hanging out with us on Friday night.
Sacred Six.
I truly enjoyed this Uncle Nearest whiskey, to be honest with you.
So Sacred Six is the book that I was talking about that Christopher Priest wrote, that the covers were spectacular, but the stories, once you got into them, were not very that good. You remember Sacred Six?
Pardon?
Do you remember the Sacred Six book?
Is that the one with all the hot women on the covers?
That is correct.
Yeah, that's the only thing I remember about those books.
Right. The covers were spectacular because, as Paul said, they had some very hot women on the covers, but once you read the stories, they weren't so good. Christopher Priest is a legend in the industry. A lot of his early stuff was good. He wrote the 4-issue limited series of Falcon, which I have. I want to say he wrote some Power Man and Iron Fist back in the day. But Superman Lost specifically is a good read. So I do.
Chillmonger makes a good point. He says Black Panther needs a writer who would also be hired to write Superman comics. I think the point is, he needs a writer who's just a good writer, period, who can appeal to a mainstream audience. Maybe that's kind of the point he's trying to make.
Yeah.
Amistad said we got to support our own. Look, I bought the entire run for Black Adam by Christopher Priest. In fact, I bought multiple copies of multiple colors.
Right. So talking about that, I have been a Black Adam fan since the 52 storyline. So that we're talking about 12, 15 years ago at this point. The Black Adam run by Priest to me was not good. I do not like how he did the character Teth Adam. I was not a fan of
that. Shout out to frustrated fans. He says he really loves his community and appreciates BCL. Comments like that mean the absolute world to me. I appreciate that, man. Like truly, from the heart. We got a really unique space that I'm very proud of, where we can all come together and just talk comics and geek out about the stuff in a pretty safe space.
Yep.
And I love the fact that we have creators that stop by,
Mm-hmm.
Your Jeffrey Thorns, your Charles Stewarts, just come in the chat and just talk to the fans because they're fans too, which is important. Yep. So, shout out to all of you. Thank you all. Appreciate it. With that, you get our super chat.
Donation. It's a donation. I thought it was the trash. Don't be hitting on me.
Thank you.
So all jokes aside, though, we need to figure out where we can watch Purple Rain. Like I said, I have it on DVD. Do you have it on DVD?
We can do it here. We can't show the movie.
No, I understand that.
But we can all watch it at the same time and have our reactions, talk about it.
Watch it. Is it streaming anywhere, like on Hulu, Netflix, Amazon Prime, or anything of that nature?
We have a week to figure that out.
Well, I mean, it doesn't have to be, next week or whatever, because the movie dropped over the summer. So we just need to figure out where we can watch it.
Yeah. Well, anyway, thank you all for hanging out with us. We appreciate it. And are you going to be available next week? Do you know?
As of right now, yes.
As far as I know, I'll be available next week too. So we'll see y'all next week.
Hopefully.
Peace. Stay black.
Thanks for joining us.